You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
We will call this meeting of the Branford Planning Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, November 19th at 7 p.m. I'll introduce members of our commission and staff. Commission member John Lust. John, are you here?
John Lust, present.
Joe Chadwick. Joe, are you here?
Chadwick is present.
Fred Russo. Fred, are you here? I think Fred is here but muted.
Present. Fred Russo, present.
Joe Viuso. Joe, are you here?
Joe Viuso here, present.
Marcy Pelusi. Marcy, are you here?
Marcy Pelusi, present.
Paul Higgins. Paul, are you here?
Paul Higgins here. I had to unmute.
Thanks, Paul. And Massimo, we don't see Massimo yet. Is that correct? Okay. And I'm Chuck Andrews, chair. Before we read the notice of public hearing, we'll ask Marcy to do that. We had sent out an email earlier about the possibility of having a special meeting on Thursday, December 3rd. Just a special meeting to discuss Anchor Reef Tidal Basin application. And I just wanted to check. One of the problems we have this evening, I think, is some people, I think John, Joe Viuso have to leave early. So we're going to mix the agenda up a little. But I wanted to check and see if that is okay for everyone. So let me just go down there. John, can you make a December 3rd meeting? Special meeting? Oh yeah, John, you're
I can, but I'm recused on
that's
this.
right. Just went down the list. You're absolutely right. Joe Chadwick, can you make that?
Yes, I can make it, and I confirmed to Harry earlier today.
Excellent. Fred, is that good for you?
I confirm with Harry that I would make that meeting.
Great. Joe Viuso, Joe, does that work for you?
Yes, Joe Viuso, yes, that'll work for me.
Great. Marcy, does that work for you?
Considering we're probably all going to be quarantined by then, yes, it works for me.
Okay. And Paul, are you available then?
What day of the week is that?
That's a Thursday. We normally have our meetings on the first and third Thursday, and that is a first Thursday. But we only have one meeting in December, and it's the second Thursday. So this is the first Thursday.
Then I'm available.
Okay, great. And I'm available as well. Okay. So we'll just notify that if you're here this evening to listen to our deliberations on Tidal Basin and Anchor Reef, they will not be occurring this evening. So we will be doing that though at a special meeting at 7 o'clock, Zoom meeting on December 3rd. And with that, I think I indicated earlier we want to move the agenda around a little bit because John and Joe cannot be here. So if it's okay with everyone, can we have a motion to move the items numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 of old business? Those are the Metro LLC applications, the East Main Street application, the master plan, the special permit, site plan, special exception, and zoning regulation amendment. We closed the public hearing on that. we'd like to hear those 4 items first, and then we can let John and Joe go. So, if someone want to make that motion, take those out of order.
So moved.
So second.
Okay, motion made in second. John, are you in favor?
John Lust in favor.
Okay, Joe Chadwick, are you in favor?
Chadwick in favor.
Fred, Fred, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you're voting. Actually, I'm sorry. Joe, are you in favor? Joe Vayuso?
Yes, I'm Joe Vayuso in favor.
And Marcy in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
And I'm also in favor. With that, okay then. So then let's move to the old business. Harry, I know you sent out some proposed.
How about the legal notice?
Yeah, we'll do that after we do this is just deliberations and vote on this. So the public won't be speaking on this. So, and then we'll do the legal notice.
Harry Smith, Town Planner, just note that I understand deliberations won't be going ahead on Mariners Landing, but in Anchor Reef, but I just want to note that the public hearing's still open. So in case someone wants to make a comment, they should stay for that.
Chuck Anders Chair, that's correct, Harry. I didn't mention that. We won't be deliberating, but the public hearing is still open.
Okay. So I did send around, probably the thing to do is start out with item number 6 of old business, which is the zoning regulation amendment, modifications to section 54E. And by the way, can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and put up the memorandum that I sent in the packet Friday. Almost there. Okay, so everyone should be able to see the memorandum dated the 11th of November. Just to, great. Just to recap, at the close of the public hearing, the applicant read into the record a revised proposed zoning regulation text. This is the change to 54E that was proposed. And the changed language is highlighted in yellow here, which would be notwithstanding anything these regulations to the contrary, when the proposed building incorporates a gable roof design, the maximum building height shall be 42 feet. And that would replace the language that they submitted in their application. So rather than have a somewhat involved measurement thing to halfway up the gable roof element and some of the other items that were talked about at the public hearing, which seemed to generate some concern about confusing language. They wanted to just keep it this simple, which I think as staff makes sense, at least for this particular project. And it allows a 2-foot increase in what was the otherwise applicable 40 feet of height. So should the commission choose to go ahead with this, going down to the second page, you need to do the typical statements in a motion, which is that the commission has considered the plan of conservation development and you find the amendment in accordance with the comprehensive plan. I would also suggest an effective date of December 5th. Give us enough time to make sure it's filed in the town clerk's land records, which is legally required, as well as posted on our website in lieu of putting a legal ad in the newspaper. So I think that is where we're at with this, and if there's any other discussion about it, stop there.
Chuck Anders Chair, thanks, Harry. Any discussion from commission members? I think it's in accordance with what was presented. Again, it's sort of a nuance due to the style of the buildings and a number of things. So any other thoughts or comments?
No.
If not, then does someone want to make a motion to approve this zoning text amendment with the findings that we've considered the plan of conservation development, and we find it consistent with the, well, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and also with our plan of conservation development, and with an effective date of December 5th, 2020. Someone want to make that motion?
Should have clarified, this would be a new section 54E3.
Correct.
Joe Vayuso approves with what you just said, Chuck.
Okay, so there's a motion made by Joe to approve the amendment with those findings and the effective date. Is there a second?
John Lusk will place the second for that.
Okay. Second by John. Any further discussion? All in favor? John, are you in favor?
John Lusk in favor.
Joe Chadwick, are you in favor?
Yeah, Chadwick's in favor.
Joe Vayuso, are you in favor?
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy, are you in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
And chair is also in favor. So that amendment is adopted. So Harry, what do you recommend we consider next?
I would recommend we now move to PDD, is item number 3 under old business.
Okay.
I'm going to swap my screens here. Maybe I can just do like. Okay. So everyone should be able to see the revised draft. Now, I did send in the packet an earlier version of this. I did make some changes and sent those out via email. I believe it was pretty late Tuesday night. So hopefully everyone has seen this. I will just run through and highlight the items, just touching on things. If anybody has questions, you can stop me as I'm going, or save the end, however you. So as a typical resolution, we just restate application was made, the address, when the review started, what it consists of in general, public hearing dates. That, because it's the PDD, there needs to be referrals out to the town sanitarian, police commission, fire marshal, town engineer. That, of course, was done. Comments were received. The applicant made an offer of, I'm just calling it here, the affordable housing offer to dedicate 8 of the proposed dwelling units to qualify under CGS section 830G, so that they would be counted towards the 10% threshold that referenced and set in CGS section 830G that determines the applicability of affordable housing appeals procedure. At this point, this statement is now true. The commission has approved an amendment of 54E to allow 2 of the buildings with gable roof elements to extend to 42 feet in height. You may recall that in staff report back for October 1st, the applicant originally requested all the uses in the BL zone for the retail area and build the first floor building A. And I suggested that be flipped back and provided an example of what I think staff would work there. And the applicant's engineer in this exhibit in this statement did not object to that. Similarly, looking at a density level, I think the density that's in the town center district, right near Main Street, near the green, was requested. Looking at that, it looked like 24 dwelling units per acre covered what was proposed, and again, the applicants no exception to that recommendation. In a similar way, I looked at setting the floor area ratio and the maximum lot coverage at figures that would basically allow this development, but wouldn't be, set on arbitrary standard. For example, the area in the town center where you can have up to a much higher lot coverage. So, and again, the applicant. Just stating the two existing billboards on the site, they're pre-existing uses. Understood probably to be legally non-conforming. I'm just not suggesting the commission determine that either way right now. One's proposed to be demolished, the other's proposed to be retained up and back. Statement that the commission deliberated the application as amended by the affordable housing offer, other representations made at the meeting, and all the revised plans and other documents. Again, the next whereas that you consider public testimony and exhibits, gave due consideration all the factors required of you under statutes, zoning regulations, comprehensive plan, and the 2019 development. And now the finding statement that the modification of the uses and layout of the proposed development is consistent with the conforms to regulations and so forth. There are required findings the commission must make. For master plan, they're laid out in section 910F. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. So next statement would be a statement the commission approves and adopts the amended application to establish the PDD subject to the following conditions. That the affordable housing offer be further modified and clarified in any associated site plan application approval. That the uses for the PDD include the following, rather than having this sort of sloppy crossed out copy from the zoning regulations. I listed them all here for sake of clarity. The applicant has seen this and has no concerns with it. Again, the density level setting at 24 dwelling units per acre. There were the applicant's material submitted exhibits A and B to the master plan application, and they contained some standards and statements that would need to be adjusted to correspond now to the limit of density limit, the floor area ratio limit, and so forth. So this just requires that all that become consistent with the submittal of an updated document. Again, setting the floor area ratio of 55, lot coverage at 30%, and some changes that are proposed here, which is, again, it's acceptable to the applicant that any change in use of buildings other than A to non-residential use would require the applicant to come on back and submit an application for approval through the zoning map amendment process, which will give you number 8 would create the ability for you on a site plan approval, which is coming up next, to require only in the event that you approve a change in use on the adjoining car wash property, 79 East Main Street. Can you hear me now still? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this would allow the commission to require, as part of, if the circumstance developed where you required interconnection as part of approval on the adjoining property, this creates an obligation, should you impose this obligation as part of the site plan approval coming up next, that the applicant provide an easement for an interconnection and actually build the interconnection to their property line only to match up with construction on the adjoining car wash property, should the commission require that interconnection. If you don't want to require it, you don't have to do it. If car wash property comes in and it complies with the regulations otherwise, the use, for example, it doesn't require an interconnection, then there's no obligation on this developer to do anything. It's only in the event that the redevelopment of that property to a different use means a requirement by the commission that interconnection requires this applicant and this development to match that to their half of it. Number 9 creates an obligation to the part of the developer to maintain the existing interconnection with the little strip mall development at 365 East Main Street, and make sure that complies with the access management district. So that is it for the PDD. I'm going to flip through my page here, make sure there weren't any edits that I'm suggesting, and there are not. So I think I'm going to stop there. I will note that the exhibits A and B were inadvertently stapled to the draft site plan and special exception resolution. They don't need to be included with either resolution. I just provided them, but they should have been a staple to this. Just so you had in front of you that this is what I was talking about.
Chuck Anders, Chair. Thank you, Harry. Any questions or comments from commission members? I think it's, I mean, we discussed this the last meeting. I think it's, the resolution fits with what we talked about. Again, the main theme is that it's cleaning up of the site. It does provide a 5% affordability component. And it is a mixed use, at least some mixed use, good for Route 1. Any other thoughts, anyone? Not then, does someone want to make a motion to adopt this resolution as our decision for the PDD, establishment of the PDD and master plan approval?
And Harry Smith, Town Planner, I'm suggesting an effective date of December 7th.
With the effective date of December 7th.
Chuck, John Lust here. I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by John. Is there a second?
Joe Vayuso seconds.
Second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor? John, are you in favor?
John Lust in favor.
Joe Chadwick, are you in favor?
Chadwick in favor.
Joe Vayuso, you in favor?
Vayuso in favor.
Marcy, are you in favor?
Marcy in favor.
And Chuck Anders, Chair, I'm also in favor, so the resolution is adopted. So that was item number 3, I believe. So what do you recommend we do next here?
I am recommending we take up old business items 4 and 5 together.
Okay.
They would have probably been one single item on the agenda, but the special exception application lagged the others by a meeting, so they have separate numbers and separate items, but they're integrally linked and based on the same set of plans and so forth. So I have proposed the resolution regarding both applications.
Okay.
And this went out via email and tonight, so hopefully everyone has it. And I'll do the same kind of thing, go through it. A lot of it is pretty repetitive in terms of just a statement that the applications were submitted, the properties involved, the section regulations that apply. Again, now this application is pursuant also to the PDD approval. Just rated, except for review. What it is, this is the special exceptions. This is the site plan, so they lagged. Whereas, so I now call them the combined application, and the properties, all the properties are referred to as the property. Again, special exception application received on the 15th instead of the 3rd of September, October 15th. What it consists of, 6 buildings and so forth. Statement about the public hearings. And again, reference to my staff comments. Again, special exception application when that was considered. Here is a statement that the Commission acknowledges that the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency authorized the work shown on the plans through a permit submitted into the record of the application. Another whereas statement about the affordable housing offer, which is word identical to the one in the PDD. Again, a recitation that the PDD master plan approval created a condition that affordable housing offer be further modified as needed, and so forth. And the next statement is statement that the Commission deliberated on all the application, all the references and representations made to the applicant, and all the additional information submitted. And further, here is a finding that the landscaping constitutes excellence in landscaping per that section of the regulations, allowing a modification to landscaping requirements. And this would allow the use of tree staples instead of the otherwise required. So the next statement is a finding that the amended application conformance with approved PDD and master plan and zoning regulations. And the next statement is that you hereby approve both applications subject to conditions and administrative requirements. Number one is a standard condition that it only applies to the most recently revised version of the submitted plans and documents, as they may be modified to address all the rest of the conditions of the approval. Some requirements before construction activity begins, soil and erosion controls be installed, heating, installation of construction fencing along the limits of construction as shown on sheet 3, which is where the demolition and site prep work will take place. Item D is submittal of a soil and erosion control financial guarantee. There's wording about form and content and so forth, except to eliminate, this could would not necessarily need to address any items that were covered by a similar type of financial guarantee required by inland wetlands. I don't think they did in this case. I wanted to be sure, so I just left that in there. The next requirement would be prior to any work happening on site requiring a blasting permit, there be a documentation of a pre-blast survey. All the owners of structures within 250 feet of the boundary of the properties. Time limits on blasting permit. And my understanding is blasting is only going to occur under the building furthest from Route 1, if you will. Remember the exact letter designation. I think it's D. That wanted back. Then we're getting into changes required to the site plan. The other plans are revisions to the landscaping plan to add the 68 Virginia creepers along top of the retaining wall. Those were proposed by the applicant, but they never got on the. Also, to comply with the regulations, that planting strip along the back. There's 2 lots that sort of have come off Featherbed Lane, but they're in back of the houses fronting at Featherbed Lane. They back up to this development at the very, or this part of it away from Route 1. There's a requirement for residential district buffer, and there's a nice set of plants and proposed, but one of the regulations need to be 10 feet in width. They also need to consist of indigenous. One of my recommendations was an existing tree on the sort of little planted island, if you will, between the 365 Main Street property and this proposed development, that there'd be a little bit of a planting area there, similar to what's Zelkova's along Route 1. It would keep it consistent. Create the side yard buffer planting areas as required in the regs. Item D would require that the project sign, I think it's proposed as kind of a monument sign now, would have only light lettering and dark background. This goes to the town-wide design considerations in there. And item E is we'll just lay the groundwork just in case in the distant future.
Right.
365 property and this property came into common ownership and somebody wanted to propose connecting up to the signal at the bottom of the exit ramp from exit, which fronts right in front of the 365 East Main Street. This would at least require the transformer and dumpster, which would be right in the line you would want for a road to connect into the traffic signal, to be relocated so they just aren't an obstacle. And this would not be required, the interconnection would not be required. Take that form, and connecting to the signal is certainly not required. That would be something this applicant, a future owner of both properties, could propose, and this would just eliminate one obstacle in the way of doing it. No point in having the obstacle. I did recommend that in the staff report. One of the few things they did not address in the Again, here we're into the requirement. Like this would implement the requirement for the interconnection with the 379 car wash property. But again, only in the event that the commission's placed a requirement on a future change of use on the car wash property. So there is one statement here when I cut and pasted this out, and that is after here what says, should the commission require, the words as a requirement of any site plan approval granted under this PDD. Those words should come out. Otherwise, this implements that access requirement. And similarly, in B, that implement requirement to maintain the interconnection with the 365 East Main Street. And item C is where implementation of the affordable housing offer occurs. So the 8 proposed dwelling units should be dedicated via all the mechanism legal instruments required by state statute. Allow the affordable units to be credited towards the dwelling units eligible to be counted towards the 10% threshold. So currently understands the deed restriction requirement, so forth. There's at least 80% AMI. Rather than spell all that out, reference statute. So whatever you have to do, you do whatever you have to do to make sure those units. And some more standard conditions here regarding on-site use of rock crushing equipment. Doesn't prohibit it, just says you need to come back to the commission if you want to do it. Requirement number 7, that topsoil be stockpiled. This is required by zoning regs. And item 8 is just a recitation about what's already in the zoning regulations regarding the life of the special exception under 6.8, which is here with a 1-year continuance granted by the commission. Number 9, required foundation as-built. And number 10, typical condition, no additional signage and to replace lighting without approval, staff or commission. Number 11, I'm going to propose a little bit of change because though this was proposed to be built as a one-phase development, I understand that there may be a desire to build it out in a phased approach. You could consider building and parking as create a one phase, first phase, and that phase could get COs while construction on 2 or 3 or whatever has not started. So I would suggest adding here after the word zoning enforcement officer, words optionally in a phased approach via the submittal to and approval of a phasing plan by the town planner or commission. That would delegate approval of phasing plan, if you're comfortable with that, to staff. If there's some disagreement for some reason, the applicant can come to the. And again, before you got a CO, there would either be completion of all the site work. Again, this could be in a phase, or the appropriate financial guarantee. And we should probably use the words financial guarantee instead of bond, because that is statute. Replace bond with financial guarantee. And then item B would be documentation that there's been an offer of post-class survey. And then C, submittal of final as-built. 12 is a standard question about dust and so forth. If there's any issue with that and there's a problem, then the CEO can require that measures be taken to control it. Item 13 would require landscaping be maintained. This is again a standard condition. There's an on requirement of the approval. And we're down to 14, which is any changes, modifications. Need approval as provided for in the zoning regulations. And 15, failure to hear any conditions could be considered grounds to revoke the approval. I'd also like to suggest a 60, just because. And this would be, I talked to the town engineer and I just forgot to get to this, but a variety of reasons, had having to do with our municipal, phase 2 of the Water Act, which is being implemented, which requires all our municipal separate storm sewer systems to do things in terms of requiring regular maintenance of stormwater management systems. So I can put this on the screen if that's, I can read it out loud, and I know this didn't get in the Dropbox. Better if change the sharing here. Okay, so you should be able to see this item now. And this is a 16. And it says the manufacturer's recommended requirements and schedule for cleaning and maintenance of the elements of stormwater management system shall be followed. Regular monitoring of catch basins, sumps, establishment of compliance with a cleaning schedule such that the frequency of routine cleaning will assure that no catch basin sump at any time will be more than 50% full. And it specifies what that means in terms of measurement of stuff in there. That'll be performed by the applicant, owner, successor, entitled to the property. Reports documenting this are submitted every 2 years to the zoning enforcement officer.
Harry, the screen doesn't show what you're reading, but.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It does show actually in a phased approach. That's the one that came up. So maybe you just need to go to the end of the document.
Yeah, I scrolled down to it. It says the sharing was paused. Let me do it again. Can everyone see number 16 now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions about that, the wording came from the town engineer and is largely wording we are going to need to either adopt in most applications or all applications, including and eventually for MS4 permit compliance, we're going to be requested to consider, you're going to be requested to consider changing the zoning regulations to include a requirement like this. We're getting a jump on it, and it does help out with, it's good in and of itself, and it also helps out. So we could renumber that. Really want to be, leave that failure to adhere as the last condition, but So that is what I have. If there are any questions,
And Harry, for the effective date, December 10th.
Effective date December 10th. Yes, thank you.
Great. Chuck Anderson here. Thank you, Harry. Any questions or comments from commission members?
Yeah, Joe Chadwick speaking. Why do we worry about rock crushing equipment as a matter of zoning enforcement?
Well, there is a requirement in the zoning regulations for how far away from a property boundary such equipment would be placed if it's proposed. Because of the noise and so forth. The commissions, I think, in the past, limits on the hours the equipment could be used. I think the situation developed at 250 North Main Street that last sort of prep approval for some retail development and so forth. And we had the condo development up on the ridge there. And there was a lot of complaints and letters submitted about the level of noise and intrusion, dust generation, but also the noise, rock crushing. They did move it where they were supposed to move it. We had that condition, and they had to show a plan where it was supposed to be, and they had to put it where it was supposed to be.
Okay, I was just wondering how do we enforce it? Why is the sort of arbiter of it, as opposed to or just a plain noise ordinance for the town.
But we're not getting into the noise of it per se, we're just sort of getting into location of it. About as far as you can get into it. Regulate the noise level. Not allowed to by statute. Noise ordinance.
Harry, can you turn your volume up? It's a little, you're fading in and out. Your
Sorry,
volume.
I'm probably moving away from the microphone.
Thank
so
you.
Can you hear me?
That's better.
Okay. So it's just in the regulations, and like I said, there's just a couple of hours and location on the property.
Chuck Anders, Chair. Thanks, Harry. Any other questions, comments from commission members? Not then, does someone want to make a motion that we approve the PDD site plan and special exception by adopting the resolution as amended by Harry, which involved, I think, striking some language at one point in 5A, adding some language in about phasing in 11, and then adding a new condition 16 and making the effective date December 10th.
I'll make that motion, Chuck, by John Lust.
Chuck Anders here. Thank you, John. John makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Joe Vayuso, second.
Joe makes a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? John, are you in favor?
John Lust in favor.
Joe Chadwick?
Chadwick in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy?
Marcy Bluzzi in favor.
Chuck Anders Chair is also in favor. So I think that completes these, the old business items 3 through 6. So at this point now, we can move back to our regular agenda, go to our public hearings. And I understand John and Joe, are you guys taking off? Is that correct? Or?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I want to thank the commission for doing this schedule change. It means a lot to me, so thank you very much.
Yeah, and it's a big help to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Okay.
So with that, Marcy, can you read the notice of public hearing?
Oh, hang on, let me get there. Are you ready?
Blue.
I just lost it again, hang on. The Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Branford, Connecticut hereby gives notice of public hearings to be held on Thursday, November 19th, 2020 at 7 p.m. by remote technology as authorized by Executive Order 7B and 7I to consider the applications listed below. Information regarding how to participate in the public hearings will be provided on the meeting agenda that will be posted on the town's website at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. 1. Application number 20-9.6. Special exception for grading, section 6.8, lot 2 of approved subdivision located at 41 Brainerd Road and 54 Kenyon Street, Statewide Development LLC, care of Robert Pezapane, applicant and owner. Item number 2, number 20-9.7, special exception for grading, section 6.8, lot 3 of approved subdivision located at 41 Brainerd Road and 54 Kenyon Street, Statewide Development LLC, care of Robert Pezapane, applicant and owner. Item number 3, application number 20-9.8, special exception for grading, section 6.8, lot 4 of approved subdivision located at 41 Brainerd Road and 51 Kenyon Street, Statewide Development LLC, care of Robert Pezapane, applicant and owner. Item number 4, application number 20-11.1, special exception for an accessory apartment located at 65 Applewood Road, Ashley Kelly Flynn, applicant, Sean Flynn and Ashley Kelly Flynn, owners. Item number 5, application number 20-10.6, special exception for grading, section 6.8, for a gas tank replacement located at 87 Harding Avenue, Indian Neck Yacht Club, care of Carl Burlip, Perlips, applicant and owner. At said hearings, all persons will have the right to be heard. A copy of the application materials will be made available at least 24 hours ahead of the meeting at https www.dropbox.com/home/20 zoning under the folder for this particular meeting date. Written communication should be submitted by email to p-z@branford-tt.gov by noon of the day before the meeting for posting at the above Dropbox account associated with the town's website. Branford Planning and Zoning Commission, the Andrews chairperson.
Chuck Andrews, Chair. Thank you, Marcy. We'll follow a normal format for public hearings, which is the applicant goes first, makes his presentation. After the applicants and any of its consultants speak, we turn it over to the commission and staff. We typically have a staff summarize its staff report and open it up for question comments by commission. At that point, we'll open it up to the public, and I'm going to ask Caitlin to go through, when I'm done, the process of how to participate, to be recognized and participate. We'll ask you to state your name for the record and make your comments. After the public portion, we'll allow the applicant to respond to public comments. We may or may not conclude the public hearing, and how it goes. With that, Caitlin, can you review with us and to our members here and public the process for participating in public hearing?
Or Caitlin here. So if you'd like to participate in the public hearing portion on any of the applications Marcy just read in, you can do so multiple ways. If you're calling in to participate, you'll just press *9. That will alert the host that your hand is raised and you'll be unmuted in the order that you were seen. If you'd like to participate and you're joining via computer, you can either raise your hand by hovering at the bottom of the screen, going to participants, finding yourself and doing the raise hand. Or if you are unable to do that, you can enter into the chat. We just ask that you put that out to everybody and it will be read into the record. We also ask that you state your name before speaking each time you speak.
I can just share. Thank you, Caitlin. With that, we'll turn to our public hearing items. The first item is the Mariners Landings project, and we'll consider the three items: both the site plan, the coastal site plan, the 3-lot subdivision, and the PDD modification master plan amendment. We'll consider this all as a joint hearing for all three of those. And this is a continued public hearing, and I know we left it open. We were sounded like we were getting close to done, but I know there was some. The traffic commission had some, there was going to be consultation with that, and I believe there may have been some of the coastal issues as well with John Gauscher. So with that, Attorney Shansky, are you ready to proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Marjorie Shansky for Mariners Landing, LLC. Once again, I am here with Sal Maritoli and Robert Sachs from the developers, Michael Ott from Summerhill Civil Engineers, the site engineer, Ryan Chmielewski from Weston and Sampson, the landscape architect, Ken Borison from Kenneth Borison Architect, the architect, and Dave Sullivan, traffic engineer from Milone and McBroom. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I believe we have arrived at the finish line. Among the items that have been submitted since last we met are a letter from me to you through the town planner regarding open space, which was a question at the last meeting. I was able to confirm with our engineer that the public access component of the master plan comprised 10.5% of the lot area of Mariners Landing that is being severed from Anchor Reef in the event this is all approved. And that percentage is consistent, indeed exceeds a normal open space dedication under section 3.04.B.4 of the subdivision regulations. recognition of undefined arrangements that are found by you, the commission, to be acceptable are a way of satisfying the open space requirement. And because this is dedicated open space for members of the public, of which the residents of Mariners Landing will be a part, we submit that this is consistent with the goal of the subdivision regulations and is eligible to be recognized by the commission. So that was among the items that were submitted. I'm guessing you probably have seen that letter. We also provided the re-subdivision plan with all of the information and easements that the town planner requested. With respect to Mr. Goucher at Deep, he was interested in the waterward extent of the tidal wetlands, even though we are not doing any activity past the public access easement, but the waterward extent of the tidal wetland was identified, surveyed, and added to the plan. And those plans were provided to the town and to Mr. Goucher. Mr. Goucher had also expressed an interest in our verification or adjusting to make sure that the landscape plan and the civil plans lined up with respect to the location of the public access easement. And those that confirmation has been verified, and copies of those plans have also been sent to the town and to Mr. Goucher. And if the commission wants to see any of these things, we're happy to project them for you. Mr. Chmielewski can do that. We submitted, in response to a request from the town planner, lighting and photometrics information consistent with his request. I believe that in talking with the town planner yesterday, the town engineer is satisfied on the issue of soil erosion and stormwater, soil erosion and sediment controls and stormwater. And Mr. Sullivan went to the traffic committee. That may be a conversation that is going to be ongoing because of, and he can describe that, or Mr. Smith can describe that to you, but the applicant is committed to creating or performing any of the traffic calming that ultimately the town accepts, as has been described to you. So that's what we have put into the record. That seems to satisfy the matters that were outstanding. And do you have any questions for us? We are all here.
Chuck Andershare, thank you, Attorney Shansky. Do you have anything else you'd like to present at this time, or should we just go right to staff and commissioner?
I think staff is fine, unless, again, there's something you'd like to see among those materials.
Okay. Well, we'll start with staff. Thank you. Harry, do you have any comments or with respect to any of the new materials or anything else?
Sure. Harry Smith, Town Planner. Unfortunately, the new plans were submitted very late yesterday afternoon. That's why you do not have copies, and you have no commentary or response from any town staff or DEP at this point. It sounds like it's a question just going through them, hopefully checking off the boxes. I did have a discussion with Attorney Shansky about, and of course, the commission can accept staff reports after the close of the public hearing. And I am hoping, and we did discuss this briefly, that she'd be willing to stipulate that John Goucher final comments, basically, quote, sign off, would be allowed to be considered by the commission similarly to how you consider final comments from myself or the town engineer or any other town staff member. That, I think, would provide an opportunity to just clear the record in the sense of having John Goucher say, yes, all of the submitted information addresses my comments. So that unfortunately came in quite a bit later than we were hoping, but it's complete, and that we are actually at the finish line, the goalpost, whatever you want to call it. I also did know, Mr. Chair, that you made a remark about who would be taking the open space easement. Raise that as a question. I did discuss the proposed additional public access components being created by this new development, new modification to the old development, with First Selectman Jamie Cosgrove, and he understands and knows that the town has accepted the easement that currently exists for the shoreline walkway and the dock. So he is, at this point, I understand, will support town accepting an expanded public access easement to address all the areas that are identified in the plan and discussed previously in terms of the parking along the eastern portion of this. That would be as you come down to Nellie Greens, there's going to be a extension of that driveway into the development and parking spaces along property line with Branford Landing. That would be open to the public. Sidewalk that will go down to the river walkway. That's a new element that was not in the previous approved PDD. There will be a sidewalk connection to Indian Neck Avenue open to the public. There is also that field adjacent to the parking spaces, between the parking spaces and building D, I believe. And I believe there's a couple of adjustment areas on the Riverwalk itself. I don't recall that clearly. So all of that, my understanding is he would support that. Of course, would need to go through the normal process of a complete review by the Board of Selectmen and the RTM, and they would need to indicate acceptance. But I think that's probably enough to go with an approval with appropriate conditions at some point should the commission desire to do that. At least as an indication, the entity, the town. The only other item I'll note is that I believe this is in the record, but we have well in excess of 100 exhibits. I'm not sure every email to the town engineer by Mr. Ott was copied and entered into the record formally in terms of the piece of paper. So I'm just going to show you quickly by sharing my screen the site operation and maintenance plan. I became aware today was included with an email directly to the town engineer. So just wanted to note that, that this is now in the file for the applications. You can imagine the applicant objects to this. Just want to make sure it's in there. It might already be in there, but I'm not sure of that. So I wanted to note that we have actually made a point of adding it to the file. And I'd probably like to stipulate that all correspondence and attachments to emails that was sent to the town engineer would be considered to be part of the record of the applications, just in case something, and a lot of back and forth thing on possible one thing or another did not actually get copied into the physical file into the Dropbox. So I think that's all I have at the moment, unless there are any questions.
Chuck Anders, Chair. Thank you, Harry. Does any member of the commission have any questions for Harry or the applicant at this point? If not, then we can open it up to the public. See if there's any public comment at this point. Caitlin, any member of the public wish to comment?
Caitlin here. I don't see anyone. Oh, just kidding. Oh, wait. Nope.
Hey, I'm trying to click my hand, but I can't see it. So
okay.
Why?
I'm Perry Maresca, if I can speak.
Yes, Mr. Maresca.
So my name is Perry Maresca. Although I currently serve as chairman of Branford's Economic Development, I'm as a citizen that has deep roots in this town, that cares about this town, and would never wish to promote anything that would be detrimental to the town. In 1961, my family moved to Branford. I've called it home ever since. I watched it change over the years. From that one traffic light town, robust with industrial manufacturing, a town center bustling with shoppers. Some may long for those days. We all know that Branford would not have survived if we did not accept change and grow with it. I've listened to the many presentations, comments, concerns, iterations, and challenges of this proposed project. Concerns of the neighbors across the river. Excuse me a sec.
Excuse me, Mr. Maresca, we can't hear you. You're fading in and out. I'm sorry.
Heard the concerns of the neighbors across the river and further down along Indian Neck Avenue. While increased traffic is always a consideration with any project, since all decide to go to Lenny's, I'm perplexed to see how this project would increase traffic near their homes, including entrances and exits of these 4 buildings are a mile from the intersection by the train station. After hearing multiple comments of concern and multiple comments in favor, including praise from the president of the neighboring Reef Association, I decided to take a closer look and revisit the site with people's comments in mind. These are some of my thoughts that I'd like to convey. It's not a park. It's a large, undeveloped wasteland of factory gone by. It's not a meadow. It's an overgrown, abandoned piece of property. The drives and parking areas have several large potholes. The site is surrounded with steel fencing that's falling down in places. The dock that will be open for people is falling apart and dangerous. There's concrete pilings with rusting steel bars sticking out of them. This area is longing for improvement. So this is what the current residents see every day, the ones currently in Anchor Reef in the 2 buildings that abut this property. I'm sure that's not what they expected when they purchased their homes, and I understand why they support the approval of this project. Despite its present condition, it's arguably one of the most valuable pieces of property in Branford. The town receives no tax revenue from. What's being proposed is a grouping of beautiful buildings that are landscaped as nicely as any in town. When this project first came about, I attended a meeting with the Center Review Board, and the owners of the property were very willing to make changes to the building design to conform more with what they had in mind for the town of Branford. I saw this along the way at all the different planning and zoning meetings that I went to, that these developers are willing to work it out, and it is. They're approximately sized and conform to the standards and goals of the transportation district. Again, I attended many meetings for those, and as well as the POCD. The town is going to get a large public walkway along the river with benches and beautiful plantings. This has been a goal since the project was first developed, and we can now see this come into fruition. All the residents being able to walk along and park in the area. There's a functional dock that needs improvement that they will be doing, and boat launch for kayaks and canoes. A riverfront cafe will be in one of the buildings, and that will be open to the public, so we can go there, grab a lunch, sit outside by the dock. It's also an economic stimulus that our local businesses need, as well as approximately $1 million in tax revenue every year. Town center can use additional residents that are in walking distance, that are willing to spend money to go to the restaurants to visit the town. The closest neighbors and over 40 local businesses support this project. As a chairman of EDC and a Branford taxpayer and a resident for 60 years, I urge you to approve Mariner's Landing. Thank you.
Chuck Anderson, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Maresca. Caitlin, are other members of the public wish to comment?
Yes, I'm going to unmute Anthony. Phone.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Alphone, you can proceed.
Yes, thank you. I just want to take a quick second to echo Mr. Maresca's comments and favor of this project. I think it's a good project. I followed it from the beginning. The local developer is well respected in the community, and I think it'll bring a good tax revenue to the town, and it'll be good for our local business and economy. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Alphone. Caitlin or other members of the public wish to comment?
Yes, Elise.
Hi, thank you. I'm Elise Siegel, and I live in Branford for about 20 years, and I'm pretty familiar with this project, and I think it's a beautiful development. I walk every day, and there was nothing that I'd rather do than sit by a river and have coffee at a cafe, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully you approving it. So just thank you, and looking forward.
Okay, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Caitlin, are there other members of the public wish to comment?
Raymond Ingraham.
Ray, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm off now. Thank you. Ray Ingraham, 34 Indian Neck Avenue. I won't go long because Mr. Maresca made a great presentation. So I'd like to echo his thoughts with addition that this is a very classy project that brings much to Branford, brings much to the shoreline and the walking in our area. And I'm very in favor of it. Thank you.
Second to share. Thank you, Mr. Ingraham. Caitlin, are there other members of the public that wish to comment?
That appears to be it.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll close the public portion. Does the applicant have any further comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would only say that the record is voluminous and there are many letters from me to you, the commission, in it, in which I'm discussing consistency of this development with the section 5.4 section of the regulations and with the TOD plan and with the plan of conservation and development and with CAM principles. And from the interface with the Town Center Revitalization Review Board, through these proceedings, the developer has been very willing to comply with requests and to be responsive to issues that have to do with how well integrated into the community this development will be with the pedestrian improvements and the open space and the traffic calming. So we're grateful for the assistance and collaboration that we've received from staff, and we thank the commission for its time and attention. And we look forward to being able to develop the anchor reef with Mariner's Landing soon. Thank you.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Attorney Shancy. Any further questions or comments from commission members or staff? Harry
Smith, Town Planner. I have appreciated the long public hearing process, probably the longest one I think I've been involved in town, and all the efforts, everyone involved. I just want to, almost as a follow-up to comment about traffic calming, give the commission an update. There was a meeting, I believe, on the 9th of the Police Traffic Committee, and as a local transportation or traffic authority, I believe. And there may have been some confusion. Unfortunately, they considered the item on the agenda as sort of a information item. And I understand the applicant, and particularly Mr. Sullivan, David Sullivan, is committed to coming to a future meeting and providing all the specifics I think the traffic committee is looking for in terms of proposed location of or change locations of on-street parking, prohibition, requirement signs, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to following up with Mr. Sullivan and the traffic committee, myself, and the town engineer, who's been involved a bit, and at least getting that proposal. I think one they're concerned about is on Rogers Street, in front of them, and to see what they think about it. And if that doesn't fly, perhaps alternatives could be looked at. So Just wanted to note that for the record that that's where that stands.
Asking Anders, Chair. Thank you, Harry. Any other questions, comments from commission members or staff? Hearing none, then we will close these matters, items 1, 2, and 3, as a public hearing. If you missed it earlier, our plan is to have a special meeting on Thursday, December 3rd, where the sole items of the agenda are this Mariners Landing proposal, as well as the tidal basin proposal. With that matter has been closed as a public hearing sometime. So we'll have a discussion about those items. But anyone is, of course, certainly welcome to listen, but there will be no public or input from either applicant or public. It's just the commission members in their deliberation. So with that, thank you, Attorney Shansky.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go to item number 4, which is Vox Church. This is also a continued public hearing that we kept open. I think our traffic expert wanted to review their comments, and I think there may have been some lighting details or other details. Attorney Shansky, are you ready to proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm Attorney Marjorie Shansky, and I'm here this evening representing Vox Church. With me is Mr. Tom Haliva from the church. Jim Preddy, if he's still here, is the site engineer, and Dave Sullivan, the traffic engineer. As I promised you last time, Mr. Chairman, we don't have any additional presentation. We are here primarily because the beta group was writing its findings as a result of its review of Mr. Sullivan's traffic report. So, so perhaps Caitlin would like to talk about that, or we'll respond to any questions you have about that, and then I'll just sum it all up.
Chuck Anders here. Thank you, Attorney Shansky. Caitlin, do you want to summarize our traffic consultants' response to their responses?
Sure, Caitlin. All in all, it looks like Mr. Sullivan responded to all of his previous comments, and the only recommendation that sort of still stands and ultimately I believe is a requirement for this project is to coordinate with the town and the Connecticut Department of Transportation to modify the timing for the light on Route 1. And that's, and I wouldn't even consider that to be an outstanding item, just so much as one that wasn't, completely addressed by this, but I anticipate will be addressed sometime in the near future. I also received updated plans that were responsive to my last set of comments. So the only thing really outstanding at this point is just some lighting updates. It's just adjusting some pole heights, and I've incorporated that as a condition of approval. The commission would like to review the plan. The only major change was the incorporation of the sidewalk along the east side of the property, which shifted the parking a little bit as well. So if you'd like to look at that, I'd be happy to share the screen and address any other comments.
Chuck Anders, Chair. Thank you, Caitlin. Commission members, would you like to see the revisions to the plan? Take a look, or okay. I think it's I think we kind of talked about them last time. The actual site plan doesn't seem to be that many changes. But, Attorney Shansky, did you have additional items before we open up to the public, or further questions from the commission?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from commission members or staff before we open it up to the public? Hearing none, then let's open it up to the public. Does any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Caitlin, do you see anyone?
I do not.
Okay, we'll ask one more time. Anyone wish to comment on the Vox Church proposal?
Yes, I would if I could.
Certainly. Mr. Maresca.
Perry Maresca, Chairman of EDC. Likewise, this is a property that is screening for some improvement. So I think it would be a good opportunity for the town to have some additional tax revenue and useful part of the area of town. Thank you.
We may not get the tax revenue, but we will get it cleaned up.
I get the tax revenue.
No, from my understanding, it would still be tax revenue.
Is it?
Yeah.
The church is a tenant.
Ah, okay.
Kansky saying the church is a tenant.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's right. So we don't have a statute or ordinance allowing a tenant. Okay. Good deal. Okay. Not that that would make any difference. Okay. Any other members of the public wish to comment? Hearing none. Any further questions from commission members? Any further comments from the applicant, Attorney Shansky?
I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, that in my original submission, I did an analysis of the special permit criteria under Section 9.8 and the site plan criteria under Section 9.6 of your regulations. And I'm delighted to find that the assistant town planner agrees with the conclusion that I draw, which is that the plans and the development represent consistency with your regulations. You've heard enthusiastic testimony from Branford residents who are also parishioners or beneficiaries of the good deeds that this church does and the significance that it has meant to their families. And the church is very excited to make Branford its home. We are grateful again for the assistance and cooperation we've had from staff and their stewardship through this process. And I am excited to hope that you will be approving these applications. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Attorney Shansky. Any other, just one more time, anyone from commission or staff? Okay, then we will close this matter as a public hearing. This may be something we can take up later. So this, that's item number 4. The next one we have is item number 5, which is the first of a number of 41 Branford Road applications. Items 5, 6, and 7 are special exceptions for grading for lots in the recently approved subdivision on Branford Road. The applicant ready to proceed on that one?
Yes, Jim Galligan from Naphis and Young. We are ready.
And Chuck Anders, Chair, you may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Jim Galligan. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut. I represent statewide construction in this application. The application is for the grading rights on 3 lots that were previously approved as a 4-lot subdivision by this commission. The reason why we're here in front of you is because the parcels are within 100 feet of the wetlands. The lot layout on all 3 of the parcels are virtually identical to that was approved. We did move the buildings 2 feet farther away from the street line to be in conformance with the regulations. There is parking in front of all 3 of the lots. The grading for all 3 of the lots is at 3 or 1 or less. And all the soil erosion and sediment control requirements by the town's regulations are in compliance.
Chuck Anders here. Thank you, Mr. Galligan. And just I'm noting for the record that we're considering items 5, 6, and 7 sort of as one proceeding here, so they're interspersing. So, Caitlin, do you want to review? I understand you did the staff reports on these. Do you wish to comment? Give us a summary.
Yes, Caitlin here. I didn't have too many comments. I thought it would be helpful, though, for the applicant to kind of lay out their schedule for construction, just to kind of get a grip on when they'd be getting started and when bonds would be posted and when they would be grading versus actually constructing. That's number 3 on my staff report. Lot 4 just needs to be amended on the site plan to actually show what the proposed contour is. Jim said the contours are all in conformance with our regulations, but we just need to actually note it on the site plan. There's a note on sheet 2, which goes with all of the site plans that should be amended to reflect the 2002 edition, not 1985. The total number of trees as I have it, and there is a tree planting plan required as part of the subdivision approval and was conditioned that way. Be a total of 7 trees, and we've accommodated the idea that power lines might be in the way with a possible alternative for an easement on the properties themselves. But I think that should be clarified on these plans as well and resubmitted. And I actually think that's it. We did the bulk of the review for the subdivision, and like Mr. Galligan said, 3 of the 4 lots 4, 3, and 2 are within 100 feet of the wetland. They went to inland wetlands and got an administrative approval, I believe, for lots 4 and 3, and they did not review lot 2 because it's actually outside of their scope of review. So planning and zoning is actually reviewing an additional lot. And I think that's it.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Kate. Any questions from commission members or staff before we open up to the public? Hearing none, does any member of the public wish to comment?
I would, please.
Yes.
My name is Tricia Anderson. I am a RTM member for the district here, and I've been following along on this development with this property. And I would like to thank Statewide Development. I've called them a couple of times to clean up some of the debris, and they finally got rid of the mattress out of the lot. So we're very thankful to that. I just want to make sure that they are cognizant of the fact that people live there and to be aware of their surroundings as they start this construction going forward. I'm happy that it's going to be residential, and they're taking the wetlands into consideration. So we do appreciate that. And I just wanted to thank Statewide for taking my phone calls and accommodating me on keeping the neighborhood clean and neat and tidy for everybody to live there. Thank you.
Chair, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any other members of the public wish to comment? Caitlin, do you see anyone?
No one else is raising their hand.
One more time, any member of the public wish to comment? Okay, hearing none. Is the applicant, Mr. Galligan, do you have any further comments? You heard, you're aware of the residential neighborhood. You heard the comment from Ms. Anderson. And any responses?
Yes, the only thing that caught my ear is on lot 4. The reason why it appears that there's no grading shown on that plan is because the only change in grade is a very minor change right behind the corner. Otherwise, there's no change in grade there. That's why there's no additional contours in that area. The 162 contour comes off the back of the building in about 10 feet, and then that's the only change in grade in that area. Secondly, from a construction schedule standpoint, the applicant has indicated to me that he would like to clear and grade all 4 of the lots as one to be able to minimize the amount of construction traffic coming in and out. So he'd like to do all the site work as one to minimize the amount of time that he has larger equipment on the parcel. That kind of sounds like he's trying to be as as accommodating as he can to the nice woman that just said thank you to him. I don't get that very often. But that's about it. Those are the only things that I can think of.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Mr. Galligan. Any further comments from commission members or staff? Caitlin, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Okey doke, then we can close these items as public hearings. Again, this is items 5, 6, and 7. We'll close these matters as public hearing. We may be able to take those up when we close our public hearings. That brings us then to item number 8, which is Sean and Ashley Flynn and Ashley Kelly Flynn, 65 Applewood Road, a special exception for an accessory apartment. Is the applicant ready to proceed on that one?
Caitlin here. So Sean is in the meeting. I just requested he unmute. He might have walked away from his computer.
Hello, Sean Flynn, 65 Applewood here. Thank you for hearing our business. We are in need of enlarging our home, and in doing so, we'd like to build a 3-car garage, which on top we'd like to utilize as living space, and most likely in the form of an in-law apartment. We currently have a 2-car garage that is unusable for any vehicles. So, thank you, Caitlin. So we need to build a garage that would be suitable for our vehicles. I don't really have a whole lot more to add, but that's kind of the scope of the plan. You can see the A2 survey right there and what we're trying to do.
Chuck and just share. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Caitlin, do you want to review the site plan and your comments on it?
Sure. Caitlin here. So the proposal is for a 750 square foot accessory apartment above the proposed 3-car garage. In total, the floor area is 3,089 square feet. So it represents about 24%, which is under the 30% threshold, or 900 square feet, whichever is less. The proposed garage is about 23 feet in height, but it is connected to the actual main principal building, so it doesn't trigger a special exception for an accessory structure. It meets all the bulk standards, and they have submitted the deed restriction as required, which will be reviewed by town council if the commission decides to approve this. And they've also submitted elevations and floor plans if the commission is interested in seeing those. But other than that, it's a complete application, and I think my only other recommendation will be that they seek comments from the fire department and the building department, but that's pretty standard. So.
Oops, thank you, Kate.
Sorry. Just to address landscaping, which I think keeps coming up. The commission has usually taken the stance that it's an accessory. The accessory apartment is a residential use that doesn't typically require those landscaping requirements, and has waived them pretty consistently. So I didn't really include a review of that, and that's it.
Chuck Anderson, thank you, Caitlin. Any questions from commission members or staff to Caitlin or Mr. Flynn? Hearing none, then we will open it up to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment? Caitlin, do you see anyone?
I do not.
We'll just offer one more time. Any member of the public wish to comment? None? Okay. Then we can close the public portion of the hearing. Mr. Flynn, do you have any further comments, or is there any further comments by staff or commission? Mr. Flynn? Mr. Flynn, you're called.
Yep, here I am. I apologize. I have no other comments at this time. Thank you all very much.
Okay, Chuck Anderson, thank you, Mr. Flynn. Any further comments from commission members or staff? Not, then we'll close this matter as a public hearing, and again, this is something we can take up in a little bit. That brings us then to our minutes, and there were 2 sets of minutes that were sent to us. We had minutes from our October 15th and also the November 5th meeting. So why don't we start then with the October 15th minutes. And first of all, I know that John and Joe Vayuso are gone, so we need two of our alternates to sit on these, I guess, for the rest of the meeting here. So do we know who's up, Harry or Caitlin?
Harry, you're muted.
Thank you. I want to say, Harry Smith, Town Planner, that I believe Mr. Russo is the last alternate that sat. I think he's sitting on the Mariners Landing application. Title basin as well, I believe. Well, I think it's Mr. Higgins' turn, actually, or Mr. Liguri's turn.
Me too. So is Mr. Liguri here?
I just looked. I don't think he made it. Actually, he is here. He is here, yeah.
Okay. Massimo, looks like you're muted. Are you?
I am here.
Okay. So were you here? Were you here for what well, we're just here on the minutes right now. So, okay. Okay. So I don't know if you had a chance to review the minutes. So Massimo, I guess it's your turn for these. Massimo and Paul will be sitting in going forward, unless one of you can't. So right now we're looking at the October 15th minutes. Is there a motion? I don't know if you had a chance to review them, and if they look okay, does someone make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 15th meeting?
Chadwick will make a motion to approve the October 15th with the slight amendment for a pronoun agreement on public input where Giapolio is referred to as a he.
Okay, so Joe makes a motion to approve the October 15th minutes with the pronoun amendment that he just mentioned. Is there a second? Marcy or Paul, or?
This is Paul Higgins. I'll second that.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe, are you in favor? Joe Chadwick?
Chadwick's in favor.
Yes. Marcy, are you in favor? Where's Marcy? Do we lose Marcy?
Marcy's not in the meeting right now.
Okay. Well, you know what, Fred?
I'm still here.
Okay, Fred, are you in favor? You can vote on the minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. Yes.
Fred will. Paul, are you in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Yes. Massimo, are you in favor of approving the minutes?
Massimo Liguri's in favor.
Okay, and Chair's also in favor. So the October 15th minutes are approved. Next set of minutes is our November 5th meeting. And those are also sent out. I don't, have you had a chance to review them? And if so, someone want to make a motion to approve the November 5th meeting.
I make a motion. Fred Russo. I make a motion. We approve the November 5th minutes.
Motion made by Fred. Is there a second?
Paul Higgins. I'll second that.
Paul seconds. All those in favor. Joe Chadwick, are you in favor?
Chadwick's in favor.
Fred Russo, are you in favor?
In favor. Fred Russo.
Paul, are you in favor?
Paul Higgins in favor.
Marcy, are you back? I see you there. I see Marcy. I see her face, but she's muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
That's odd. I'm in favor.
Favor of the minutes. Okay. So then, Massimo, you're in favor. That means all six of us now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay then. So that brings us then. We've approved the minutes. Is there any correspondence, Harry?
Harry Smith, Town Planner. There is no new correspondence. I will note, though, for the record, that I sent by email correspondence from a Mr. O'Buck, reconstruction at 9 Lewis Drive. I believe his address is 4 Lewis Drive. He is came into the office and has sent correspondence objecting to the construction of a house at 9 Lewis Drive. The zoning approval for the house was issued by the zoning enforcement officer. He did request to be added to the agenda of the November 5th meeting. I did not see him in the chat room. Unfortunately, I did not get to address that, but I have, before the meeting and after the meeting, advised him that his route of appeal is to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is the statutory route provided for someone to object to the action of the zoning enforcement officer. I provided him with all the information he would need to make an application or file an appeal, essentially. Yeah, so I just wanted to note that, since he did request that, and I did explain that to him, I would send correspondence to the commission that he had provided to me that he wanted you to see. I want to note that for the record.
Chuck Anderson, Chair. Thank you, Harry. No other correspondence?
Nope.
Okay. Then let's take up some of the public hearing items. We'll start with item number 4, which is Vox Church. And Caitlin, I think in your staff report, you had a proposed resolution. Do you want to call that up and review that with us?
Yes. Sorry. I can get down to my own pile of stuff. Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I have 2 findings proposed. The first is subject to compliance with the conditions. The commission finds that the proposal is consistent with special exception criteria per section 9.8 and subject to compliance with the condition. The commission finds that the application is also consistent with the site plan application requirements per section 9.6. And then I kind of removed a few conditions, so we're going to have to reorder a little bit. But the first, prior to the commencement of any site preparation, including demolition and grading, the following shall be completed. The first is a soil and erosion control financial guarantee in favor of the town of Branford shall be submitted. Erosion and sediment controls measures shall be installed consistent with the approved plan set and to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. And then I got rid of A through D under number 2 because they were satisfied through the amended plan set that I received. Starting with number 2, prior to the issuance of a zoning permit or zoning authorization of a building permit, the following shall be completed. And the pole lighting height shall be adjusted so as to create 0-foot candles at the property line. Sheet SL1 shall be amended to include the revision. Middle of a financial guarantee to ensure the survival of plant materials shall be submitted. All revisions to these approved plans shall be submitted as part of a complete set to the town. The proposed 20-foot wide sewer easements depicted on the site grading and utility plan shall be reviewed and approved by the town engineer and town council and filed on the land records, and proof of filing will be submitted prior to the building permit. Prior to this issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the following should be addressed. The proposed sidewalks as depicted on the site layout plan, sheet 3 of 5, shall be installed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and zoning enforcement officer, or a financial guarantee for its installation established in favor of the town of Branford shall be submitted. And all landscaping shall be installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer and in conformance with the landscaping plan as amended by the conditions established in this approval. And number 4, as may directed by the ZEO, it's the dust control measure. 5 is to ensure the continued compliance with the zoning regulations. Landscaping shall be maintained, and anything that doesn't survive or is damaged shall be replaced in kind. Number 6 is our standard lighting condition that requires conformance with our current regulations. 7, any change to the construction sequence, site work, architectural design, etc., will require either planning commission approval, or any minor changes can be approved by the town planner for section 9.6b5. 8, additional signage or new replacement lighting shall be installed without planning and zoning commission approval. And special exception approved under section 6. It's not the special exception. Well, actually, yeah, no, we can strike 9. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Caitlin. Any comments, questions, discussion by commission members or staff? I think it's certainly it's a thought that needs improvement, and certainly had a lot of community support in the public hearing. So, and hopefully they can benefit our community. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the application for this special exception for a house of worship with for Vox Church in accordance with the findings and conditions of the amended staff report that Caitlin just reviewed with us? Again, she took out some of the conditions that have been satisfied, I guess, with the result of the later submission. And just to make sure, who's voting on this one? I think it's going to be Fred. You're probably not voting. It looks like
right.
If Marcy is here.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Okay, so someone want to make that motion?
So moved by Chadwick.
Motion made by Joe. Is there a second?
Marcy seconds.
Marcy seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe, Chadwick, are you in favor?
Chadwick in favor.
Marcy, are you in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
Paul, are you in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo, I got to ask you, did you attend? I don't know if you attended all the public hearings. If you didn't, then we got to have Fred vote on this. Where's Massimo?
He's there, but he's muted.
Massimo, you're muted.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I think I missed the first public hearing on this.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll have Fred jump in on this one. Fred, were you at all the public hearings?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So Fred, are you? Well, you can vote on this one then. Fred, are you in favor?
I'm in favor. Fred Russo in favor.
And Chuck Anders Chair is also in favor. So the application is approved. Congratulations. That brings us then to items number 5, 6, and 7. Those are the special exceptions for grading for 41 Brainerd Road. And I believe, Caitlin, you also have prepared resolutions for those. Is that correct?
I did, yes.
I guess we'll take them up individually. Although I think they're probably similar, but you can maybe just review the first one first. And
Yeah, I actually did a staff report and findings and conditions that kind of put them all together. So they're all the same. I don't know. I mean, I can go through and.
Well, just review it, and we'll just make three motions.
Okay. So the only finding we need for this is that it's subject to the conditions listed below the commission finds that it's consistent with the special exception criteria listed in, I'll make an amendment to that 6.8 and 9.8. And then the conditions are as follows. Number 1, I'm gonna slightly amend to say prior to the start of any construction activity, including grading and vegetation removal, the following shall be addressed. All erosion control measures shall be installed to the satisfaction of the ZEO. I know Jim talked about this, but I actually still think he's missing a grade. There is one proposed grade that does not have a number, so I'm going to keep this in here. Lot 4 site plan shall be amended to include the proposed grades and revise the lot frontage to accurately reflect existing conditions. And the amended plans shall be submitted to the Planning and Zoning Office. A note shall be added to each of the site plans indicating that the contractor shall be responsible for conducting all grading activities in compliance with 6.8 of the zoning regulations. The pre-construction meeting shall be held with the zoning enforcement officer, applicant engineer, wetland scientist, site contractor, and the inland wetlands agent, which may be coordinated and combined with the pre-construction erosion control inspection that inland wetlands has required. Consistent subdivision approval, submission of a soil and erosion control financial guarantee in favor of the town shall be submitted, and financial guarantee to ensure the survival of the plant material shall also be submitted. Number 2, special exception approval under 6.8 granted with the approval of this application shall expire 1 year from the date of decision on this application unless renewed by the commission pursuant to section 6.8L. Sheet 2, note A shall be amended to reflect the 2002 edition, not 1985, per section 6.10C of the zoning regulations. For operation of heavy vehicles and machinery shall take place between 7:30 a.m. and
I think you need a not before.
Yeah, shall not take place before only before 7:30. Not take place before 7:30 a.m. or after 7:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday or at any time on Sundays. Slopes shall be maintained during construction, so not to exceed 1 foot rise over 2 feet of horizontal distance whenever construction is suspended for more than 2 weeks. Blasting activity is not approved as part of this application and shall require a modification to the approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission. As may be directed by the ZEO, necessary measures to control dust shall be implemented. An as-built shall be submitted demonstrating compliance with this approval and will be submitted to the town engineer prior to the certificate of occupancy, and all conditions, I'm going to amend this slightly as well. All existing conditions of approval relating to the properties described in these applications shall remain in effect, and that is it.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Any discussion or comments from commission members or staff? Okay, then. So, my understanding, the changes are, Caitlin, you added the finding 6.8 and 6.9 in the finding part. Then you added some language, amplifying language in number 1 prior to the start of construction, including vegetation removal. I think you added some stuff. You added a not in condition number 4, and then you expanded a bit on condition 9. Was that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll go down in order then. So we'll start with application number 5, which is for lot number 2. Is there a motion to approve this application in accordance with the findings and the conditions in Caitlin's staff report as amended, but also amended by excluding 1B because this is lot 2 and 1B concerns lot 4.
So moved by Chadwick.
Okay, motion made by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Paul Higgins, I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Joe, are you in favor?
Chadwick in the affirmative.
Marcy, you in favor?
Marcy in favor.
Paul, in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo, you in favor?
Massimo's in favor.
And chair is also in favor. So item number 5 is approved. Item number 6, this is for lot number 3. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the special exception grading application for lot number 3 in accordance with the findings and conditions in the staff report? Just like we did for the other one, again, we're taking out 1B because that only concerns lot 4.
Paul Higgins so moves.
Motion made by Paul. Is there a second?
Second by Chadwick.
Second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe, are you in favor?
Chadwick in the affirmative.
Marcy, you in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
Paul, you in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo, in favor?
Massimo's in favor.
And chair is also in favor. Brings us then to item number 7, which is lot 4. And does someone want to make a motion to approve that application? This one will leave in 1B because that specifically concerns lot 4.
Paul Higgins, so moves.
Motion made by Paul. Is there a second?
Second by Chadwick.
Second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe, you in favor?
Chadwick's in favor.
Marcy in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
Paul in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo in favor?
Massimo's in favor.
And chair is also in favor. Brings us then to item, so that's also approved. So those items are approved. Brings us then to item number 8 of our public hearings, which is the special exception for the accessory apartment on 65 Applewood Road. And I believe, Caitlin, you've also prepared a staff report, a recommended resolution for that one as well.
Yes. So one finding, and that is subject to the compliance with the conditions listed below. The commission finds that the application is consistent with the special exception criteria. I'm going to add in per section 9.8. And then I put in 2 conditions, one being prior to the issuance of a zoning permit or zoning authorization of a building permit. I'm sorry, I need to strike out what's after that. And since there's only one, I'm going to remove A and incorporate just into one condition. And that is that the owner of the accessory apartment must file a deed restriction on the land records in accordance with section 830G, and that shall be reviewed by town council and recorded. And number 2 is that all construction, site work, and architectural modifications will require planning and zoning commission approval or staff approval, depending on the degree of change.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Any questions, comments from commission members? Then does someone want to make a motion to approve this accessory apartment application in accordance with the findings and conditions as amended, just reviewed with us by Caitlin?
So moved by Chadwick.
Joe makes the motion. Is there a second?
Paul Higgins seconds.
Seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe in favor?
Chadwick in favor.
Marcy in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
Paul in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo in favor? Massimo? Oh, did you say something, Massimo? I didn't hear you. I see you, but I can't hear you. Massimo, are you there? We lose you?
Harry Smith, town planner. I can't see him either. He may be frozen for some reason.
Okay.
He flipped away.
It must have dropped.
Okay. Fred.
I'm here.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm in favor.
Okay, forget it, Fred.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I'm
sorry,
here.
Massimo. Yeah, we thought we lost you there. Okay, Massimo in favor, and Chair is also in favor. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, the application is approved. Congratulations. Okay, so that then brings us to new business. First item, new business is Goods Hill Point, and we already authorized staff chair to set the public hearing date. Any more to say about that, Harry?
Harry Smith, town planner, not at this moment. No, we, I believe that there have been discussions with the applicant and staff at DEP, so that would be a referral up to them, of course.
Okay, so that'll be
plan, and I'll update you at the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll just table that one. Item number 2, Indian Neck, 87 Harding Avenue. Again, we need a public hearing for this. Special exception for grading. You have a recommended date for that?
We're shooting for the 10th, and we've got an extra week, so I think I believe you've already delegated to staff and yourself.
Okay.
So we'll.
Okay. So we've already delegated that, but we'll try to get on the 10th.
Yeah.
The next one is 37 Bourbon Drive, a subdivision modification. I think, Caitlin, you looked at this. This is just a question of whether a lot line revision constitutes subdivision revision. Is that correct?
I prepared a memo, but then had a mild revelation today that I would like to look into a little bit more, if that's okay with everybody. Just need to do some number crunching, basically.
Okay.
Move it to the 10th, probably. I mean, it's just a finding for a lot line revision.
Okay. So we'll just table this item then. Item number 3 will be tabled and take it up. We'll stay on the agenda. Item number 4 is 47, a special exception for Gould Lane. And I think that needs to have a public hearing scheduled. Harry, what do you recommend on that?
Again, I think did not get on the final agenda, but I think you already delegated that to staff. This is somewhat complicated. The application's been referred to town council, so I will wait to hear from them. It involves removing a prohibition on low-grade construction of basements. So there's several units in remaining portion of the development that would need to be constructed on slab because of environmental contamination issues from Acorn Road, believe where the plume originates. So this is kind of a complicated question about geotechnical engineering and how to protect any basement that housing, and I'll wait to hear from town council, update the commission further at the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll table that item number 4 and we'll keep us up to date. Item number 5, 9 Elm Street, special exception, modification drainage improvements. And again, I think that's something that the commission has delegated to staff and the chair to schedule public hearing when it's appropriate. Anything new on that, Harry? Anything we need to add?
I believe Caitlin has been in touch with Mr. Preddy, who's the engineer of record in the application, and there are some significant issues with how it's proposed in terms of its compliance with the regulations, and trying to work those through or see what Mr. Preddy, how he wants to proceed.
Okay. Okay, so that one's tabled. Item number 6, special exception modification for landscaping, 221 West Main.
I believe the applicant has requested a waiver of the public hearing requirement. There was landscaping on the property, and they've been in discussions with staff for quite a while, and have now proposed a revised new landscaping plan. So this, I think at least tonight you should act on the request for a public hearing waiver, and if you do not waive it, we need to, I would suggest just delegating to staff again, setting the public hearing, but see what the commission's pleasure is about having a public.
Do you have a recommendation as to whether we waive it or not? Is this a minor change or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a minor change, otherwise I'd be doing it, but it's nothing other than landscaping. I mean, there is some landscaping along the front of the buildings, within the parking lot, and the sides of the parking lot, along the access road, and along Route 1. I don't know if the landscaping changes really affect any other property owners. I would suggest probably not.
Okay. Okay, well, it doesn't, it sounds not change of use, not change of buildings, it's change of landscaping, so probably something we can handle by, don't need a public hearing for it, but what do people think?
Paul Higgins, waive it.
Okay. Paul, can I interpret that as a motion to waive the public hearing for this item?
Yeah, I'll propose that as the
Okay. Paul makes a motion.
Yeah, Chuck?
Yes.
I need to recuse myself on this one.
Okay. Marcy's recusing. That means Fred, you're in.
I'm in.
Okay, so we're gonna.
I second that motion of Paul.
Okay. So we've got a second by Fred. Any further discussion? All in favor of waiving the public hearing? Joe?
Chadwick in favor to waive.
Fred?
In favor to waive.
Paul?
in favor to waive.
Massimo?
In favor to waive.
And the chair is also in favor of waiving. Okay, so we waive the public hearing and we'll take that up when, well, we'll table it and take it up at our next meeting if it's ready. Okay, that brings us to item number 7, which is special exception modification for a convenience store at 49 Leeds Island Road. And that needs to have a public hearing scheduled, I understand. Harry, do you have any recommendations, or is this something we should delegate?
Yeah, at this point, I would suggest delegating to staff and the chair.
Is that okay with everyone that we delegate the actual public hearing date to Harry in consultation with me for the public hearing for this item? I don't know if we need a motion. I mean, I'm just gonna try to get a consensus.
Well, to move things along, Paul Higgins is in favor.
Okay, Paul's in favor. Joey in favor.
Chadwick's in favor.
Marcy in favor.
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo in favor.
Massimo's in favor.
And Chuck's also in favor. What about item number 8, special exception for child daycare center?
Again, Harry Smith, town planner, would suggest the same thing. I mean, there is a potential. Kate has been working on this, and an issue has been uncovered that probably needs to be resolved before it's really set.
Okay.
That's that.
Okay. Is everyone in favor of that? Favor of allowing Harry to schedule the public hearing date in consultation with the chair? Joe, are you in favor of that?
Yes, and I would like to further that so that we have a standing authorization for the chair and the town planner staff to arrange for these dates.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Does anyone, the standing authorization? Okay. Joe's made a motion. Is there a second by anyone?
Joe second. Marcy speaking.
Marcy seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joey in favor?
Chadwick's in favor.
Marcy in favor?
Marcy's in favor.
Paul in favor?
Paul's in favor.
Massimo in favor?
Massimo's in favor.
And I'm also in favor. Okay, then. Standing order then. That's good. Save time. Number 9, which is a coastal site plan, Short Beach. I understand that just come in, but we don't need a.
Yeah, Harry Smith, town planner, that has just come in along with item 10. So I suggest tabling number 9 and number 10. We don't need to discuss. Requires a public hearing, and we have the standing authorization.
Okay, so there we go. We just moved through 2 items in the agenda because of that quickness by Joe.
So efficient we are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Okay, that brings us into other business. Item number 1, schedule 2021 meetings, which we're required to do, right? By statute.
Town planner, yes, you are. So we have to do it 30 days, I believe, 35 days prior to the first regular meeting. So it could be a regular meeting. So we should all have had in your packets a copy of the proposed meeting dates. Generally, they're the first and third Thursdays, with the exception of, and it should have been so noted in January, proposing the 2nd and the 4th, so that we avoid period between Christmas and New Year's in terms of preparing staff reports and so forth. I'd suggest adding as a fail-safe because of the pending PD votes. should we go that far? The 21st of January, because both applications would need to be acted upon by the 23rd of January without any further extensions by the applicant. So that would give us, and we don't have to use it. It just would create a regular meeting date. So we wouldn't have to have a special meeting if you wanted to have one in that. And that would be the normal third Thursday. Also, I'd like to note that the September 16th meeting would be after the end of the Yom Kippur holiday, which ends at sundown on the 16th, which is at 7 p.m. But this would give folks a chance to have something to eat if anyone serving that holiday is participating in the meeting or presenting or so. Suggesting 8 p.m. start for that. I think we've done that in the past. Again, August, no meetings, and December 9th would be the second Thursday, 2021. So to close that holiday gap makes it a little bit. That's the proposal.
Okay, so the proposal would be you're suggesting adding the January 21st, so there'd be 3 meetings in January as a possible additional regular meeting, with the notion that we could just cancel it if on the 14th it looks like we don't need it. Is that the idea?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And that's the idea, because we're running up in some statutory deadlines for things.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Is that okay with everyone?
I don't mind doing special meetings, but it seems like we're always adding meetings and never eliminating meetings. I don't know if there's a way to minimize that.
Well, I mean, the struggle at the moment is I think we just eliminated 9 applications, but we had, I believe, 25, which is pretty unusual for this time of year. It's not quite double, but pretty close. But we've all been going to 11:30 here for the last few meetings, and the 21st might be a way to at least have meetings that don't go, until we get the agenda back down, hopefully. So
I guess that's really my question: is how do you control the agenda, or how can we really move some of these along quicker?
Yeah, I mean, some of these we've attempted to do that, but some of them are coming in, and some of them are problematic. The ones that are in good shape, try to get right through.
Yeah, we've had some major projects. I mean, just think about it. The density, it's just huge, and it's all come in a clump.
Yeah, I mean, we're flat out basically doing development review only. Kate's been pretty much focused on that. I mean, I've been working some nights and weekends, so it's been a lot on our side to keep up with. Doing the best we can.
This is Paul Higgins. Could I propose we vote on this at the December 3rd meeting when Joe and John are there as well?
I think that would work with the time frame, so I think that's fine.
Okay, so then we'll just table this item. Hey, is that okay with everyone? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then planners report. Anything else coming up, Harry?
Not too much off the top of my head, other than all the work we've been doing in development applications. We are in the process of preparing a request for proposal qualifications for getting a consultant on board for the affordable housing plan. I have not been able to check in, but I think there should be hopefully guidance from the Department of Housing about those plans and what they should contain that was due to come out this month. So I'll look into that. I've approved a number of minor site plans, which I will try to provide a list for the commission at some point before the end of December, and go through them. Been a little backed up in reporting those to you, and that's it at this point.
Yeah, and I think what Harry's referring to, this affordable housing plan, I think it was a statute was amended in the last couple of years to require every town to have some sort of affordable housing plan by the end of, I don't know what year. When is it, Harry? Do you know?
I believe it is 22, but
right. So that's why we're looking at. So.
And one reason we're doing is we did apply for and receive a $15,000 grant to allow us to hire a consultant.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that's coming up is we need elections of officers. I think our bylaws say we should do that at our December meeting. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
Right. So the way we've handled it in the past is have an alternate, I think, make a poll or something and then come up with a slate and then we can vote on it at our December meeting. I don't know if Paul or Fred are willing to do this. You know, I won't put Massimo on the hot seat. He just came on. So. But
what do you want us to do?
Well, I think you talk to commission members. I think it's only regular members vote. Is that right? I think. You know?
And regular members, the only regular members can be officers, I believe.
Right. So you find out who if people are interested in running, running as the two positions we have are chair and secretary. We traditionally have not had a vice chair, but so that's what it is.
Chuck, I attempted to do that last year upon your request, and everybody unanimously believed that you and Marcy do the best job.
Well, you may,
yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Well, we try hard, man. We give it our best shots. But
no, I'm serious.
No, I appreciate that. But you may want to check. I mean, I think you can check. Whatever. There we go. People change their mind. I turned crazy over the last year, Marcy, and we know what's happened to Marcy. Like, geez. I mean, come on.
I'm more than willing to abdicate my throne if somebody wants to overtake
right.
me.
Okay. I think I second that.
Okay. Well, we vote at the next meeting, so we don't, and there's people that aren't here either. So I mean, John and Joe aren't here. So whatever. I guess you could. Yeah, I think Fred, you got stuck with this last year. I think you sent an email around or something.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
I think Fred's done it one year. I think Paul's done it another.
Right. So, just ask people, and you don't have to. I don't know.
We're very happy with you.
Oh, well. Anyway, anyone interested? Now's your chance. Okay. Well, anyway, that's our next meeting. So maybe you can check with people.
I'm using a lot of thought myself.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Look at this. 9:12. Do you believe it? Where's another? We got 2 more hours to go.
I don't know what to do for the next 3 hours.
I know it. Okay. Okay. So, well, then, does someone want to make a motion to adjourn then, I guess?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Marcy. Is there a second?
Second by Paul.
Paul. Second by Paul. You want to stay. Okay. All in favor. Joe in favor?
Chadwick in the affirmative.
Marcy?
Marcy in favor.
Paul?
Favor.
Massimo?
Massimo's in favor.
And Chair's also in favor. So good night, everyone. And
good night.
Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving. If we don't talk.
Good night, everyone.
1/3.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.